So welcome back to another rebuild here on NBA 2K25 Next Gen. In today's video, we are back with part 2 of the blockbuster Kevin Durant deal that sent him to the Houston Rockets. Today's video, we're going to be doing the Phoenix Suns side of this trade. Now, when we did the Rockets side of this, I gave you a lot of my thoughts on this deal in general. It was very evident pretty much since the middle to end of last season that Kevin Durant was not going to be in Phoenix for this upcoming season. Now, they obviously ended up moving him to the Houston Rockets. I'll read you off the full deal. Houston's getting KD. In return, Phoenix is going to get Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the 10th overall pick, and, well, I guess yesterday's draft and 5 future second-round picks. So, this was an interesting one for me because Phoenix didn't really have a lot of leverage in this deal. As a franchise in general, they're pretty over-leveraged with a lot of the contracts they have. The Bradley Beal trade has ended up being a complete disaster for them. And this is an interesting team heading into next season because at this point, I don't really know what to think of them. We'll break this down a little bit more. We'll go over this Suns roster once we get into the rebuild. But of course, as always, let me know any other video ideas down below in the comment section. You guys are seeing this one on Thursday. Yes, I understand. Round 1 of the NBA draft was last night. Many of you probably thought there was a prospect rebuild coming. That's either going to be tomorrow or Monday. I'm not exactly sure, but when we do post-draft prospect rebuilds, they're 5 years. So I have to kind of carve out a chunk of time to actually sit down and record them. So yes, they're coming. I'm assuming Cooper Flag went number 1. I have no idea because at this point when I'm recording it, we actually don't know what happened in the draft. So today with the Phoenix Suns, excited about it. Of course, we have many other trades that are going to be on their way. Lord knows the Celtics are blowing it up right now. There's, I'm assuming, many other things down the line. But let's get into this one. As is always the case, we now find ourselves here in offseason number 1. I am using a shared scenario. From what I can tell, it seems like everything is up to date with all the players that have been traded so far, the draft picks that have been moved, everything like that. Now, I do want to add a couple notes before we get into this. First and foremost, this is not a realistic rebuild. I say again, this is not a realistic rebuild. If you're looking for a realistic rebuild, you are on the wrong channel, my friend. Second, and probably more importantly, as I also touched upon in the intro, you guys are seeing this on Thursday. I am recording this on Wednesday prior to the draft. I understand Phoenix now has the 10th overall pick, so obviously I have no idea at this point who they ended up drafting. It's probably not going to be the same player they take in real life that I take here in today's video. My apologies again, but I just cannot literally physically make same-day videos at this point. So, let's get into it. Let's break down this new look Suns roster because I don't think they're done making moves. I suspect they have a few other things on the horizon because this team, as it stands, might not even be a play-in team. Let's get into it. All right, the point guard spot. Devin Booker, I still think doesn't nearly get enough credit for how good he is. At this point in his career, he's 28 years old. He's 93 overall. Is obviously now the face of basketball in Phoenix, even with KD. He probably still was. But I'd like to get Devin Booker back to the point where he can compete for championships. Of course, played in the finals back in 2021. Was pretty good for the vast majority of it as well. And, you know, there's just not really a competitive team around him. I think all of us, myself included, probably thought him and Kevin Durant would be a really dangerous duo in the Western Conference. And it's not like either of them was necessarily bad. There just really wasn't a lot around them. And, of course, we'll get to it momentarily. But that Bradley Beal trade really handicapped this franchise. It truly, genuinely did. Tyus Jones is an interesting one. Kind of signed, I don't want to say a small-ish deal to maybe see what he could do and get paid a bigger contract this offseason, but it didn't really work. I suspect Tyus Jones is probably going to take, another prove-it deal, if you will, with somebody. I just don't see a big payday coming his way. We'll see what we end up doing with him here today in 2K. Monte Morris, I think Vasilij Micic is now out of the NBA entirely. I think he went back overseas somewhere, so again, we'll figure that out. We move to the shooting guard spot. Of course, the newly acquired Jalen Green, still only 23 years old. I'm definitely not completely writing him off, but as a former number 2 overall pick, I think the hopes were definitely a little bit higher because the numbers on paper are not necessarily horrible, but we all know what Jalen Green is and really what kind of player he is probably destined to be. It's not a bad player. He's not a superstar. He's probably not even a star in this league. He's a nice complimentary player, and although, again, the numbers might not show that, he's certainly, I don't know if I would say, is a great fit with this Phoenix Suns team. So I know they may continue to shop him. Maybe they end up hanging on to him. Quite honestly, at this point, I have no idea. The good news for us is that he develops very well here in 2K, so that I am looking forward to. I think Grayson Allen is certainly somebody Phoenix could look to part ways with this offseason. I'm sure there'll be some interest in his shooting. Damian Lee here as well, going to be a free agent. We will see. The small forward spot, the Bradley Beal trade, an absolute disaster. There are 2 players in the NBA that have no trade clauses. One of them is LeBron James, right? Pretty fitting, or he probably will have another one if he does end up opting out of his player option. And then Bradley Beal. So shout out Bradley Beal's agent. Not that there's a lot of teams lining up to take on this Bradley Beal contract. I don't think that's the situation, but Phoenix is pretty handicapped. They can't just trade him anywhere. He has to say it's okay And at this point, I don't know if that's going to happen. So, whether or not they eventually come to some sort of agreement where they buy him out, I don't suspect that'll be this offseason, just because he has a player option after this season for a whole lot of money that he's almost certainly going to accept. But, at this point in Bradley Beal's career, he is nowhere near the player he once was with the Wizards. And at 32 years old and 82 overall, I'm going to do everything in my power to possibly get rid of him here today. I was surprised. It felt like Dylan Brooks was kind of just a throw-in piece that nobody really thought twice about. Dylan Brooks is one of those guys that obviously, does a good job of getting under other players' skin. He's a hard-nosed defensive player. He can certainly be streaky a bit when it comes to the scoring department, but I think he'll be a nice complementary player here in Houston and Phoenix. I'm not saying he's going to emerge as some sort of breakout star at 29 years old, but, he's going to be a nice rotation piece for this team. I suspect he'll be in the starting lineup. And honestly, again, it's not the worst return out there. There's definitely worse options, or there were worse options that Phoenix could have taken. I'm excited to see how Ryan Dunn develops for us here today. Obviously, pretty strong rookie campaign for him, only 22 years old, looking to see how much higher that overall can get. Cody Martin is here as well. I'm pretty sure he was in that Charlotte deal with Plum. Was it Plum? Who the hell was in that trade? Oh, it was Nick Richards. All right, the power forward spot is currently only occupied by Royce O'Neal. Of course, Kevin Durant would have been here prior to this, but now it is Royce O'Neal. And then the center spot with Nick Richards, of course, I would say out of all of these options, probably our best one, but it's an area we definitely like to upgrade. Plumlee not going to be here. Bull, I don't even know. And the Noso Iguodaro here as well. So, yeah, I mean, that's the Phoenix Suns. You can obviously see even prior to the Kevin Durant trade where they were certainly hurting. There definitely needs to be a couple moves continuously made this offseason. I don't think this team can just run it into next season. And, yeah, we will see. All right, Mike Budenholzer. Goodbye, obviously. I don't know what I want to do here in the coaching department today. This feels like a great style for video. Now, I don't know if he's going to be willing to sign. I also have no idea who Gene Rush is. I've never seen him in any other rebuilds here today, or Vin Brown, whatever it is. So it looks like these are all kind of user-created coaches here. Dennis Clark could be another option. I don't know. I'm just looking at the ratings. Clark's willing to sign. Sure. I don't know. I'm just going my own way in this. Again, completely unrealistic rebuild. Okay, it is time for the NBA draft. Of course, from the Kevin Durant deal, we have the 10th overall selection. Of course, you can ignore the origin of the pick. And then we also have number 29 here as well. And then there should be a few more second-round picks here. But yeah, outside of that, we're not working with a lot in the draft pick department. Quite honestly, I think it would be relatively beneficial to try to get some sort of future draft pick here. Again, we're not really, heavily loaded in that area. So I think we are going to draft somebody at number 10. Again, this rotation definitely needs some depth added to it. VJ Edgecombe is still sitting here. I mean, not a position of need by any means, but I think I would be stupid not to take him. VJ Edgecombe, you all already know this, but I'm assuming probably go in the top 5. All right, I'm going to take VJ Edgecombe. Again, certainly not a position of need for us, that guard kind of area where we're pretty loaded in, but we're going to go ahead and select him with 10th overall, 77 overall. All right, we're going to let Micic walk. Qualifying offers, no. Free agency is here. So at this point, Mason Plumlee appears to be our only real free agent. This is not exactly a loaded class, what anything I would call that, but we definitely have a move or two to make at this point because we are not letting this team look like this entering year one. By no means is this my favorite trade in the world, and I have absolutely no idea why Utah is willing to do this, but we are going to be sending Bradley Beal and Royce O'Neal to the Jazz, and in return, of course, picking up Lauri Markkanen and Svi Mykhailiuk here as well. Now, Lauri Markkanen at this point, I would say, is an upgrade over Bradley Beal. Markkanen in the first year of his big fat extension he got was not necessarily great by any means, but he's going to come in here. He is going to be my starting power forward in an area that we desperately have a pretty big need at right now. And again, Bradley Beal's no trade clause is still on, so I didn't turn that off. It was just one trade I was offered, and he was willing to do it. We're sending Grayson Allen and the recently acquired Svi Mykhailiuk to the Chicago Bulls, and in return, we're going to land ourselves Lonzo Ball and a 2027 first-round draft pick. Now, Lonzo Ball is an okay backup point guard option. Of course, here in an unrealistic rebuild, we don't play with injuries on, which is going to be pretty beneficial to Lonzo. And then getting a draft pick here as well, which is, again, something we desperately need at this point, is definitely going to help us out quite a bit. So Grayson Allen is kind of just out of the rotation, especially after I went ahead and drafted VJ Edgecombe. We obviously needed a backup point guard behind Lonzo, and that kind of solves that. At this point, Martin is probably going to be gone. We desperately need a backup power forward. Now, I'm not 100% certain what I want to do at the center spot because Nick Richards, although is a solid enough option, he's expiring. I'm not exactly sure how much money he's going to ask for next offseason. The one thing that makes me a little bit nervous is that I just don't really know what his value would be right now. So, out of curiosity, I will just do this. I don't really want to give up a first. Again, it's probably not super high, so I can't imagine we're going to be getting anybody better than Nick Richards in the trade finder. Like, Mitchell Robinson's actually not a horrible option. Both going to be free agents. I actually don't hate that idea. I think I'm going to take Mitchell Robinson. Again, similar boat to Nick Richards, both going to be unrestricted free agents. Honestly, Robinson will probably ask for more money than Richards will, but I think Robinson, again, is an upgrade, and especially when we don't play with injuries on. So, yeah, at this point, we still need to find ourselves a backup power forward. We'll do that hopefully here in free agency. These options are less than ideal, to say it nicely. Just looking over some of the small forward and power forward options. Ooh, Moussa Diabate. Could I maybe move him? Looks like he was released. If I move him to the power forward spot, what happens? All these guys can go. I think at this point, I'm more than comfortable with that being the case. So, Diabate coming in on a 2-year, $6.4 million deal. I am curious what happens to his overall. If you move him to the power forward spot, he actually goes up 1. That is more than okay with me. Thank you very much. Okay, at this point in time, I'm pretty sure we're all set heading into year number 1. Again, this team by no means is an elite contender or anything like that, but, should be fighting for what I'll likely consider a play-in spot, and hey, maybe we even sneak into the playoffs. All right, the first season here in Phoenix is officially upon us. We, of course, had a relatively busy offseason. We made a lot of moves, kind of redesigned this roster to, the best of our abilities, given the assets we had, and I am excited to see how this first season does play out. Devin Booker, of course, my starting point guard. I would, in an ideal world, like to get him back to the starting shooting guard spot. I think it's more of a natural fit for him. By no means was a bad point guard, but I think I'd rather have him at the 2 guard eventually. Jalen Green, of course, going to be playing his first game here as a Phoenix Sun. Dylan Brooks as well. Made the trade for Lauri Markkanen, who is now an 83 overall, and of course made the trade for Mitchell Robinson. So new front court in its entirety. As a rookie, VJ Edgecombe's going to be my 6th man. Again, this is strictly based off potential and really where I think we'll end up by the time this video ends. Moussa Diabate, who we got in free agency, will be my backup power forward. Lonzo Ball, the backup point guard. Ryan Dunn, and finally Oso Ighodaro, who is somehow down in the morale department. Shout out 2K. Okay, I will see you guys at what is going to be the end of a very interesting year number 1. I did not think I'd be saying this, but year 1 was a lot better than I initially anticipated. 56-26 is the final record. I am assuming that's good enough for a top 4 seed here in the Western Conference, and yeah, I guess we had a pretty good first offseason if this is where we're at. Victor Wembanyama is back, fully healthy, and now winning MVPs in what it would be his 3rd season in the league. Goddamn. Cooper Flagg went number 1 overall to Dallas. Can you imagine at this point if Cooper Flagg doesn't end up a Maverick? I mean, obviously you all already know. I don't, but yeah, I think it's safe to say he did. Tyler Hero is somehow coming off the bench in Miami. He's your 6th man. Okay. Wemby wins DPOY as well. Gigi Jackson, most improved. Steph Curry, clutch player of the year. And, well, it obviously wouldn't be Popovich, but San Antonio coach of the year. Okay, let's dive into it. We're the 3 seed here in the West. We're going to be battling, oh boy, with the Demons in Dallas. I cannot avoid them any single time I do a Western Conference rebuild. And here in the Leastern Conference, the 49-win New York Knicks took the 1 seed. Okay, Devin Booker was fantastic. Should have been in the MVP conversation. Not saying he should have won it over Wemby, but definitely should have been in that conversation. I thought Jalen Green had a pretty strong year. His overall is now up to an 88. Lauri Markkanen, not bad. Looks like that overall is coming up a bit, maybe with that trade value as well. He's in a very expensive 85 overall player. Rookie VJ Edgecombe played pretty well. Dylan Brooks, again, not doing a lot in the scoring department, but that's not really why he's here. Same thing can be said about Mitchell Robinson, Diabate, Lonzo Ball, Ighodaro, and finally Ryan Dunn. The rebounding department, we were led by Robinson, and then assist does go to our point guard, Devin Booker. Okay, well, once upon a time, Phoenix versus Dallas was a whole lot of fun, and I'm not saying it's not at this point, but obviously without Luka, it's a little bit different. Kyrie is still here. You got Tyus Jones, an old friend next to him. Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively. You got Gafford off the bench. Rui Hachimura now there as well. Okay, quick 2-0 lead for us here. Make that 3-0. Okay, did not think that was going to be the case, but we find ourselves moving on to the Western Conference semifinals. We are taking on Ant-Man and the Minnesota Timberwolves. They got DiVincenzo. Not really a lot of major moves. Looks like, I was going to say they moved on from Gobert. They didn't. He just regressed to the point that he is now coming off the bench. Okay, well, it is Minnesota here. You can get into it. Who you think's better between Booker or Edwards? It does appear that the Timberwolves are a whole lot better than us, though, because they just swept us off our own floor. Okay, here are the numbers for round 1. Jalen Green went crazy. Round 2 here. Not a great series out of Dylan Brooks. I mean, he was 34.5% from the field. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm not wildly disappointed with that. I mean, a second round exit would have felt amazing given what my expectations were. It is going to be Brunson going up against Ant-Man and the Timberwolves. Timberwolves win it all. At least we can say we lost to the eventual champs. It is time for offseason number 2. Of course, full season under our belt now. We're feeling pretty good. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not saying I'm content with just running this thing back, but I'm pretty happy with where we are at in terms of this squad. So we'll sim through the lottery. Of course, we'll probably never have a lottery pick in today's video. And oh, good. Give the Thunder the number 1 overall pick. We are still good with Dennis Clark. What's the guy's name? Ott or something like that, who they actually hired to replace Budenholzer. But yeah, we're comfortable with our guy. We have the 8th overall pick in round 2 from Houston. Fuck it, why not? I mean, I think it's more valuable to draft somebody here, even if they're like a low 60 overall. Like, I don't know anything about Donnie Freeman or Mustafa Thames, but maybe they're like low 70s, which is more valuable than a second round pick, honestly. 72 overall, beautiful. Ryan Dunn will be brought back, and then we are going to have some free agents, most notably Mitchell Robinson, who we do have bird rights on, thankfully. He's going to be asking for about $15 million annually. Who else is a free agent? I think we have one more. I thought so anyways. Oh, maybe we don't. It's just Mitchell Robinson. All right, well, we're going to pay Mitchell Robinson, and we're going to bring him back on a 4-year, roughly $70 million deal. And then I think at this point, I do want to make one other upgrade heading into year 2. I'm going to look to make a little upgrade at our small forward spot. I think Trey Murphy has become vastly underrated. I don't think people actually know how good Trey Murphy is, and that's not why I'm making the deal for him, but I think he'd be a nice upgrade over Dylan Brooks. So offering up Brooks and Ball in this deal, both going to be expiring contracts. Trey Murphy is a 5 overall upgrade at our starting small forward spot. They want Donnie Freeman, who of course we just drafted, 1.5 stars. The Chicago's lottery pick 2 years from now. Look at me, Deron Sharp in return. I actually don't hate that. All right, let's make this deal here with New Orleans. Again, I have to be kind of careful of what I do just because, again, we're not exactly loaded in the draft pick department, so I don't want to give up all of those, but I'm more than willing to give up one for Trey Murphy. Again, I think he's going to be a nice fit here with this starting 5. Now, eventually, we also may have to make a decision at this shooting guard spot because I suspect VJ Edgecombe, by the time this video will end, is likely going to be an 85+ overall. And I'm not saying Jalen Green has lost his starting spot, but it is definitely something to consider. I do need to find myself a new backup point guard at this point. Deron Sharp is also going to be expiring, so maybe if I were to move him, I don't know. I want to see who the point guards are here that I can afford. Again, it's probably not a very long list. Yeah, it's really not. I mean, there's just really not any free agents here that are jumping out at me. You know, super excited anyways. I actually wouldn't hate the idea of bringing in Jonathan Isaac on a 2-year deal. We bring him in. This maybe lets me move Diabate, who's also expiring, and then we can maybe go ahead and move either him or Sharp for a draft pick as well. So let's just see, out of curiosity, I moved Deron Sharp. What am I working with in the draft pick department? Dennis Schroeder, not a bad option. Kobe Buffkin, but I'm not giving up a pick. I'm not giving up a first for a backup point guard. Brickleberry, Simmons, Shake Milton, Delano Banton. I mean, at least I'm getting offered point guards. I guess that's the one piece of good news that we've seen so far. Tyler Kolek, does he have another year? Looks like he's barely played so far. No, he's going to be a free agent. Killian fucking Hayes. All right, I think Schroeder will regress. I understand that, but I think given the other options we've had, I think this is probably the best one I've seen so far. So, not a huge fan of the deal we just made, but again, Schroeder's probably playing 10, 12, 15 minutes a game. At this point, we are going to go ahead and likely trade Diabate. I'm not saying he's expiring, or I'm not saying because he is expiring, but if we can maybe get a valuable draft pick, I certainly would not hate the idea of it. Like this right here from Charlotte. I have no idea why they're willing to do this. Didn't Moussa Diabate come from Charlotte? Oh shit. Wasn't it the Hornets that released the guy in the first place? I mean, good God, just insane. All right, thank you very much, Charlotte. Now we have some draft capital to play with potentially next offseason as well. Seems like almost everybody's going to be locked up long term, and I will just see you guys at the start of year number 2. The second season here in Houston has now arrived. We are coming off of year number 1 where I'd say we exceeded my expectations, at least internally. I understand we had a pretty good team, at least on paper, but we really had a good year. Now, year 2, we're hoping for a little bit more. Of course, a second round exit last year, made some new additions to this team, another year of development for some of our younger guys, and I'm excited. Devin Booker, Jalen Green, and my backcourt, of course, made the trade, adding Trey Murphy to this team, still have marketing, and of course, brought back Mitch Robinson as well. VJ Edgecombe, at some point, we're going to have to figure something out, right? I mean, the guy's an 83 overall, and he is only going to get better. He probably needs playing time more than what we can give him right now. Dennis Schroeder actually went up in overall. That I did not see coming. That is something that doesn't really happen to me much in 2K. It almost seems like they're always regressing instead of progressing, but yeah, shout out 2K. Behind him is going to be Ryan Dunn, also up to an 80 overall. Jonathan Isaac, and then finally Oso Gadara, who, yeah, Kind of just chilling there. Feel bad a little bit, but good depth on this team. I'll say that. I will see you guys at the end of the second season. We see a one-game improvement year over year. 57-25 is the final record this time around. Of course, winning 56 games last year. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander gets his second career MVP. Darren Peterson, your Rookie of the Year. He is in Memphis. Anthony Davis. What? He's coming off the bench in Dallas. Anthony Davis. You can't find a... Okay. Wemby wins Depoy. Reed Shepard, Most Improved. SGA also wins Clutch Player of the Year and 66 wins. Gives Chris Finch a Coach of the Year. Looks like we're the 3 seed once again here. Behind the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves. It is going to be us in San Antonio in round 1. That does definitely not get me too excited. Okay, let's talk about the numbers for this team. Devin Booker was once again incredible. Jalen Green, Lauri Markkanen, you got VJ Edgecombe coming off the bench. A little disappointed in Trey Murphy. You know, we didn't give up like a ton for him, but I expected him to, you know, I don't know, like 14, 15 points a game. Again, it's not a horrible season by any means, and we have a deep roster, but I don't know. Just thought it'd be a little more. Mitch Lettuce and rebounds, assists going to be Booker. So we are still in the playoffs. Obviously not an easy path. There's rarely an easy path in the Western Conference. Oh boy, quite honestly, I'm not really sure if we're winning this one, folks. We do take game 1. They take game 2. We go down 2-1. We go down 3-1, and we get bounced in 5. We end up regressing in terms of the win-loss department here in the playoffs. Jalen Green was still pretty damn good. I'll give him that. Devin Booker, Lauri Markkanen, Edgecombe, Trey Murphy again. Just damn. Okay, well, we are going to enter the final offseason. You know, we know that we are, you know, a middle-of-the-pack Western Conference playoff team. Like, we are good. We're not great. Josh Giddey? Okay. We are going to now be, you know, pretty optimistic with what we have, but we know for a fact that we have to make some moves, right? We fully understand that this team cannot just be, you know, run back in hopes of thinking things will get better. Okay, this could be some good news because I think we should have all these picks. Now, the Charlotte pick, I think, is lottery protected, so we'll have that as a trade asset. I have no idea what that Miami pick is from, but if I'm remembering correctly, when I kicked off this video, I actually didn't have any tradable first-round picks, at least not really. So, okay, good. The Miami Heat do keep their pick. We do have the Charlotte pick, though. Maybe it was not lottery protected. I'm pretty happy with Dennis Clark still. I don't think I'm going to fire him over the 2 seasons we just had. But we do have a nice trade piece here now. Number 9 overall, and then, yeah, we got some future capital to play with here. Let's see if we're going to make a trade. We're going to talk to the Toronto Raptors and see if they have any level of willingness to maybe trade me Scotty Barnes. Now, Scotty Barnes is an upgrade over Lauri Markkanen. I don't think there's much denying that. And my hope is that it doesn't take a lot more besides this to get it done. Now, this is the 9th overall pick, obviously. I didn't think they were going to take that straight up. Now, there maybe is a player like Jonathan Isaac I could throw into this deal. But I don't really want to give up a lot more. Now, I understand that Scotty Barnes is probably worth a lot more. I'm just saying I don't really want to give up a lot more. Okay. Well, that was a little, you know, too optimistic, I would say. But one more first-round pick gets it done just like that. We have Scotty Barnes instead of Lauri Markkanen. So that's a really nice upgrade at our starting power forward spot. Even with that, I still think there's maybe one more deal that is necessary that, of course, we will get to. Jalen Green's been good enough to the point where I think I have to re-sign him. Not that I was ever going to let him walk, but, you know, I don't think he's deserved to lose his spot in this video at all. I think he very much deserves to be brought back and remain my starting shooting guard. That's just kind of where I'm at with him. So, yeah, we're going to pay Jalen Green, who has only developed very well, and he's really, quite honestly, played very well in every single game, every single series. It's just kind of what's happened so far. So maybe VJ Edgecombe will be stuck as a 6th man in this video, but at this point, I still think I want to make one more upgrade. So unfortunately, we're pretty limited in terms of who we can trade for at our, you know, starting center spot. I'm looking to make an upgrade. Mitchell Robinson is fine, just we know what he is. I'd like to get a little better. But I'm relatively limited because we don't have a lot of financial flexibility. Luckily for us, Ivica Zubac is making close to the same money as Mitchell Robinson, and he is obviously 6 overalls higher. So we would have to include a trade exception. Now, I don't really want to include any other players here. We're already pretty limited in our depth. Luckily, this Miami pick is pretty valuable. Again, I'm not saying we're overpaying for Zubac, but if this wasn't year 3, I probably don't do a deal like this. Hell, I might not even do it. They may not even take it. Wow. Okay, well, this is it for all I have in the draft pick department, so they're not taking it. I'll probably have to include Iguodala. I don't really want to do it, but I think I would. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I do lose a little bit of depth, but ultimately Zubac is a nice upgrade over Robinson. And again, given the financial restraints we do have, there's not a lot of other players I could trade for. So yeah, pretty much working with nothing in terms of backup big men at this point. It's going to be a pretty weird rotation that we're going to have to... Didn't I just trade Jonathan Isaac? Did he already get released or something like that? That is strange. Okay, and then... I don't love any of these. I guess Luke Cornett will have to do. Yeah, I'm a little surprised by all this, but Jonathan Isaac, Luke Cornett. I mean, again, I'm not really sure how Isaac is here. I legitimately just traded the guy, but shout out the unrealistic rebuilds of this world. Okay, that's going to be the team. See you guys at the start of year 3. So far, we've been a playoff team in both of our first 2 seasons in this video. We are good. We're not great. I don't think we were, necessarily contenders last season. I mean, maybe we were, but in the grand scheme of things, we were probably never winning a championship. Now, this offseason, we made some moves. We upgraded our front court in its entirety. The depth on this team is looking really good, especially in the top 8. And I really do think this could be a championship team. Devin Booker, Jalen Green, Trey Murphy, Scotty Barnes, Ivica Zubac. Now, I feel bad for VJ Edgecombe because he is certainly good enough to be in a starting lineup, and I have given him a few more minutes this season, but ultimately, I just don't have a starting spot for him. It sucks. It really does. Ryan Dunn, who's now up to an 82, will be behind him. Of course, Dennis Schroeder still going strong at an 81. Not sure how that's happening. And then Jonathan Isaac, Luke Cornett, both only playing 10 minutes a night. Again, it's pretty minimal, but we shall see. So, is this a championship team? We will find out together at the end of the final season here in Phoenix. So year 3 was great, about as good as you possibly could have hoped. We tied the best record in the history of basketball, 73-9. Hopefully our season does not end like the Warriors did. Anthony Edwards, MVP, Koa Pete, your rookie of the year. He's a Clipper. Luka, what? Okay. I did not understand it last year with Anthony Davis. Like, that was pushing it. But at least when I checked his overall, he was down to an 86. What? How is 29-year-old, 95 overall Luka Doncic coming off the bench? What? I'm going to check on that. If Bronny James is starting ahead of Luka, we are going to have a deep conversation about the state of 2K, because there's not a world out there that should be a scenario. There's no possible way. Are you fucking kidding me? Bronny starts over Luka? I mean, first of all, I'm not getting into the whole Bronny conversation right now. I'm not doing that. That's not where this is going. But Bronny's an 86. I mean, maybe at some point it feels a little optimistic. Like, off the top of my head, who's like an 86 overall? I think like Derek White's an 87. So just put that into comparison. But seriously, he's starting over Luka Doncic? Okay. Let's check the standings here real quick. Just out of curiosity, I want to take a look. Yeah. That's the craziest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Insane. I'm not saying it's crazy an 86 overall is your starting point guard. I'm saying it's fucking crazy that a 95 overall is coming off the bench. I don't care if you play Luka at center. Find a way to get him into the starting lineup. Holy shit, the game that we play is so fucking stupid. Okay, here are the numbers across the board. By year 3, you guys already know what I'm going to say. As long as we win, I don't give a shit. It is Golden State here in round 1. Now, Steph has regressed a bit. He's down to an 89 overall. They've made some other moves, but unfortunately, I just think we're a lot better than this Golden State team. Moving on to Dallas here. Killian Hayes. Well, here's a team that could use Luka. Sure, he'd be an upgrade over their current point guard, but no, he's coming off the bench for the Lakers. Anthony Davis coming off the bench here in Dallas. 2 guys that were traded for each other. That's pretty fucking funny. We sweep them as well. And it is time for the, Demons in Minnesota, I guess. I mean, this team's been really good so far. Anthony Edwards coming off a Finals MVP, just won a regular season MVP. So let's see what happens here in the Western Conference Finals. We have yet to lose a playoff game. Every time I fucking say it. Up 3-1, we do end up winning in 5. And we are taking on Ace Bailey in the Philadelphia 76ers here. Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCann. Wow. Oh my God, my goat, Jordan Walsh. Interesting. So no more Paul George. Everybody's developing really fucking fast. I'll say that. I don't know if we're a better team. I hope and pray we are. We are up 3-1, and oh boy, don't do it. Oh boy. It's like I know what's going to happen before, I swear to God, it's always the case. If this is close, I will hop in. I feel like we've discussed this Phoenix Suns team in depth already, so there's really no need. Look at that third quarter, by the way. All right, we're going to be getting a championship here. Almost blew a 3-1 lead. Thankfully, we did not, and I am very happy that we made the trade for Scotty Barnes because he was fantastic. Gets your Finals MVP. Okay, at this point, again, we've already discussed this Suns team in depth. I mean, you take a look about where this team was, say, 4 years ago. Coming off that Finals loss, it was heartbreaking, especially being up 2-0. You never want to blow a series after that, but especially not at NBA Finals. And, they had a lot of pieces that were still relatively young. I thought this was going to be a true contender in the West for years to come. And then, they eventually went ahead and made the Kevin Durant deal and then the Bradley Beal trade. I don't look back at the Kevin Durant trade as a huge misstep as a whole, with the Brooklyn Nets. I really don't. I thought Kevin Durant was really good for Phoenix for the most part. I don't really think there was much to complain about there. But obviously the backbreaker was the Bradley Beal deal. And not only because he has no trade clause and because he's making 55-ish fucking $million, he's just really fallen off. And he's been injury prone, and it's just terribly unfortunate because quite honestly, this team is pretty handicapped right now with that deal. So I hope it doesn't get to the point they have to trade Devin Booker. In general, I think Phoenix is a team that I want to see do well. I'm not a fan of the Suns, but it is kind of cool to see them do well. And honestly, I hope Matt Ishbia kind of takes a little bit of a step back and lets the basketball people do the basketball stuff, because he's not very good at it. Let's just say that. All right, man, that's going to cap it off for me in this one. Of course, as I mentioned, I'm recording this on Wednesday. The draft is in 4 hours, and I am going to likely kick off the prospect rebuilds tomorrow. Those are 5-year rebuilds, so they are a little bit longer, so buckle up for them. I don't know how many we're going to do, quite honestly. We will just see what time allows us for us, but yeah, hopefully the draft was fun. Lots of crazy trades. Hopefully Brad Stevens didn't trade Jaylen Brown or Derek White at this point, because I don't think I'd watch basketball next season if he did. I'm ranting. Let me know any other video ideas down below in the comment section. As always, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.